off base. That's convenient for Tim to say because he's had decades of putting things out that have luckily done well enough. But I don't think that does hold some water, but it doesn't really hold all the water. That's not, I don't think, a real expression. But the point is, I have, through sprinting, right, but not ending up at the simmering 6 over many decades, right, or like the simmering 7 or 8, which is even worse. Like you're running hot. I have burned out so many times that, coming back to the meditation, right, do less than you think you can do. If I dial back, let's say I lose, quote unquote, lose 20% and I don't burn out, well, that's like playing sports and not getting injured, right? If you get injured and you're out for 2 months, and then you have 3 months of rehab, you didn't save any time by being intense.
Totally.
You lost time.
Yeah.
So I feel like also not being a morning person, like some folks, I have so many friends that just like, I wake up, I'm on fire. So jealous. Now, playing with your fuel source can help this, actually. But I feel like even if I have less energy, what that means is I just have to be very smart and selective about what I apply myself to. So it makes me more selective with projects, more focused on what I'm trying to do. Because I'm like, all right, friend X gets 4 hours of lightning in a bottle every morning. I probably get maybe 90 minutes, depending on how much caffeine I've had. So I need to make those 90 minutes count.
Yeah.
And that's actually a helpful forcing function for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think going back to what you were saying about doom scrolling and screen time, this sounds again so basic, but it is the stuff we all struggle with. Like I had to really make a commitment that if I was on a screen, that I was only on one screen at a time. Because what I would find was sometimes my wife and I would sit down to watch a show in the evening and I'm like, there's very little TV that gets my attention enough to really commit.
Yeah.
And I'm not someone who's generally loves using their time to do that.
Yeah.
But at the end of a long day of work and it's been busy and we've had dinner together, we've connected and you just kind of want to zone out. I don't have the energy. I'm more the other way. I have lots of energy in the morning. In the evening, I can hang out with friends or family, but I don't do creative work in the evening. I never have. And so mine's the opposite, where I have less energy at that time. And so kind of switching off is kind of nice. But switching off and feeling like I wasted my off time is not a fun feeling. Like I don't enjoy that feeling. So we'd watch a show and I wasn't committed and then I'd be on my phone or I'd kind of be on my laptop too. And now I haven't achieved anything at work. I haven't doom scrolled well enough and the screen is boring me. And now I'm feeling like I'm wasting days. Like in the evening, I'm like adding all these hours up and going, God, I wasted like 3 hours in front of the TV and I didn't do anything. And all of a sudden, there was a show selection problem. So we sorted that out where I was like, okay, let's find something we actually care about watching. But the other part was just, okay, I'm going to leave my phone in another room where I just can't get it. I don't work at this time, so the laptop can't be near me. And I have to do this old school thing of like sitting in a theater in my own house, like saying, okay, I'm at the movies now. Yeah. Like, what does it feel like to go to the movies and watch a movie, which we all used to do, and go to the theater without any other distraction and actually enjoy or experience it? And it's been huge for unlocking presence and enjoyment and entertainment, even from a stillness point of view.
For sure.
Because I feel like we're not even doing rest properly, which is why we can't work properly.
Oh God, we could go so many directions here. Yeah, no, I know. I was just going to say, I mean, I am very plugged in to technology and digital, right? I mean, my main business per se is actually angel investing, which I've done since 2008. Like that's actually the larger piece of my professional life from like an economic perspective. So I'm constantly involved with tech. I lived in the Bay Area for almost 20 years. And the people who created these tools, a lot of them, I mean, the Social Dilemma, people can check out, treat it like smoking. Like it is incredibly bad for you, even in moderate doses. So what I would suggest to folks, and I mention all of that being plugged into tech simply because if I were Amish and I'm like, I don't have any social apps on my phone, people are like, well, Tim can do it, but that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Because he's an edge case. Like, no. Like a lot of what I do is predicated on knowing what is happening.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And I still have no social media apps on my phone.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And what I would say to folks is, even if the counter argument is, well, I need it for my business. Okay, fine. You can still access through a laptop. And guess what? You can still record videos. You just have to batch upload them later or schedule them in advance. You just can't be self-interrupting with these apps on your phone.
Yeah.
If that is within the realm of possibility, try for 2 weeks. And my feeling is, if you can't do that, if your entire livelihood does not depend on it, you're addicted, just like an alcoholic. just like a smoker, it means you have a problem, right? And I would say, look, I can talk about meditation and bioelectric medicine and this and that and the other thing. If you just get off of social media for 2 weeks, just like my friend, I think it will basically do the same amount of good for a lot of folks as 10 years of therapy. If you're constantly tapping a vein with social media as you're doing that therapy. Also have feelings on caffeine. I think that's also true for cutting down on caffeine.
Talk to me about that.
People are like, I'm anxious. I'm like, how much coffee you drink? Like 3 to 5 cups. I'm like, that's liquid anxiety. Of course you're anxious. So coming back to the fuel thing, it's like maybe it's not a problem-solving problem.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a biological issue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And caffeine is not a fuel, right? It's forcing you to use your fuel faster. And look, guys, I understand actually how chemistry works and the adenosine and so on, but let's keep it simple, right? It's not adding fuel to the system. It is burning fuel faster. Also has some pretty profound effects on glucose levels too. If you ever were a CGM and you have a bunch of coffee, it's like, oh, wow, I'm suddenly way out of range. So when people have a caffeine crash, it's not necessarily because the caffeine is wearing off, because you still have trouble sleeping at night. It's because your glucose spikes and then crashes. Oh, we're back to the fuel problem again.
Yeah. The fuel problem.
All roads lead to fuel.
Lead to fuel. We're looking for the 4-hour fuel book now. That's
got to chip away at this 1,000-page monster first.
Talk to me about the acceptance piece. Like, what's been the hardest thing to wrap your head around with acceptance? The idea of acceptance.
Well, I'll give 2 examples. The first is that personally, doing any type of meditation that involves observing rather than suppressing or fixing, right? So if you have frustration coming up, restlessness, aversion, just labeling it and allowing it to be, like a mother consoling a crying child, that's hard. It's hard. But I think it's a valuable practice. So that's something that I've explored. There are lots of good apps out there. I'm involved with The Way, and I used it prior to getting involved with Henry Schuckman. But there are many good options, right? There's Calm, there's Headspace, there's lots of different options. But I would say that specifically exploring something that cultivates your ability to observe things that you would call uncomfortable or negative without trying to change them is valuable. All right, the second, in terms of acceptance, is relational. Humans are crazy, man. Like every human's nuts. Like irrationality is just table stakes. Like we're not. Which is why any of the efficient market theory stuff, where it's like we're all rational agents acting in our own best interest. I'm like, have you actually walked out economists and met humans? Like, what are you talking about? So in relationships, I'll give a resource. There's an audiobook. There's no print version called Fierce Intimacy by Terry Real, who is an amazing therapist. You should have him on the show. That guy's incredible. And very opinionated, he's not one of those therapists who just echoes questions back and forth. You're like, Terry, what do you think? He's like, what do you think? Like, he doesn't do that. He's like, let me tell you, like, you're being an idiot for these reasons. And like, you need to grow up because of these reasons. He's not exactly like Dr. Phil or anything, but he's very, very good at what he does. And Fierce Intimacy, along with his other materials, and he's not the only person. The Gottmans are pretty interesting as well. But Terry Real specifically has a number of principles that undergird his entire approach. And one of them is, when it comes to relationships, objective reality doesn't exist. So for instance, right? He gives this example. I'm going to butcher it. It's very funny when he tells it. He's like, all right, let's say husband and wife are out to dinner. Waiter comes over, takes the order, walks away. And the husband says to the wife, honey, you don't need to yell. And she's like, I wasn't yelling. And he's like, yes, you were. And you see where this is going, right? And let's just suppose, and he gives this example, the husband says, well, honey, I thought this might come up. So I actually hired professional audiologists and brought in recorders. And based on the decibel level, let me show you. In fact, based on any conventional definition, you were yelling. Like, is that going to help?
No.
Of course not. It's going to be a fucking disaster. So in terms of interacting with a significant other, as this context is describing, accepting that for each of us, our interpretation of reality, our experience of reality is real. And if you try to fix it or win the situation by arguing over objective reality, it is just a dead end.
And that is what we all do.
Yeah, it's what we all do.
That's literally all we ever do.
I think men are, not to get too gendered, but let's call a spade, guys. Like men are particularly bad in terms of habitually doing this. Women do it too. But in effect, accepting, for instance, someone's upset, all right? And trying to be curious, and this is going to sound like some hand-wavy, kumbaya stuff, but it's like trying to be curious before you react, right? That is sort of the key piece. It also ties into all the productivity. Everything is so related, right? It's just like, do you have the space to think, or are you just reacting to that text on a Sunday? You need the space. And there are a lot of ways to cultivate it. One is meditation, sure, but it's not the only tool in the toolkit, right? If you're, by the way, if you've had 3 cups of coffee and your sympathetic system is in overdrive, what are you going to do? You're going to bite someone's head off.
Yeah.
Right? So that's another lever you can pull. Okay. Fuel. Are you depleted? Okay. Well, let's fix that. And then on the relational piece, you got to practice in the messy reality of relationships, or it just doesn't count. You can read all the relationship books in the world. You got to practice it. And historically, like I did not, to put it mildly, grow up in a household that modeled conflict resolution very well.
Yeah, mine too.
Lots of yelling and screaming. It was, if I learned anything, it was all of the most counterproductive ways to handle conflict.
Yeah, me too.
And I carried that into my relationships. Surprise, surprise, didn't produce miracles of positivity. But in the last, I'd say 10 years, have become much, much better. Terry Real, Debt of Gratitude, and one of my exes who introduced me to Terry's work, and my friend Kevin Rose, for that matter. Not to say Terry is the end all be all, just resonated with me. Just like different people have different parenting styles. Some people love Dr. Becky Kennedy. I tend to resonate with her stuff, but other people resonate with other things. But for me, when it comes to return to your question, acceptance, man, oh man, does that matter a lot in relationships. And there are many different iterations of it. So those would be 2, right? There's the, how do I sit with uncomfortable feelings without the necessity of fixing them or suppressing them? Which, by the way, ties into workaholism and hustle culture and social media use, compulsive social media use. You're like, I'm bored. I don't like it. I need to do X, right?
Yes.
Now, some people might get a little pedantic and say, bored isn't a feeling. You get the idea.
Yeah.
It's an experience you don't like.
That highlighting and that connectivity that you just put together, but the main piece on how the objective reality is what we always debate is fascinating, because it's the simmering 6 of relationships. Like it's the distraction. It's the focal point that steals everything away, because that's all we ever think is the thing to solve is objective reality. When if you accept that that's how that person felt in that moment, regardless of whatever objectively you experienced, or you think objectively you experienced. And that's really hard to do, because we're so wired to be like, but this is the truth. And in relationships, there's almost very little truth.
If perhaps, like me, it sounds like you grew up in a household where like conflict haymakers were modeled really well, but like resolution was not modeled well. I think his name is Marshall Rosenberg. Might be getting the name wrong, but nonviolent communication. Read the book. It is schlocky in the sense that there's a format and it can feel a little repetitive. But guess what? In the beginning, if you're coming from an upbringing that didn't teach you anything helpful on the conflict resolution side, you need a format. You need a template. And it's incredibly, incredibly helpful. If only for there's a whole process to it. People can just look it up. I'm sure ChatGPT or anything else will give you a good overview. But at the end, make a request. Don't just bitch and moan about how you feel, what your partner did. Have a request. Right? Don't just tell them what not to do. That's actually not helpful. And I really had this driven home. Part of the reason I like exploring all these weird different nooks and crannies is you realize how much you can copy and paste to other places. So a friend of mine, Jason Niemer, he's the co-creator of something called acro yoga. We're in Southern California, it's everywhere.
Of course.
So you go to a park and you see like people with other people on their feet and they're doing all sorts of cool stuff. And in those circumstances, it's basically partner acrobatics, although it can be pretty chill. If somebody is, say, like standing on your hands, saying, don't push your heel down, is very unhelpful and actually kind of dangerous. So instead of that, you say more toe, right? You always want to give them direction for what to do, not what not to do. And it applies to conflict resolution as well. So the nonviolent communication, and also sometimes you can talk about the objective reality, but you can't do that when one or more people are dysregulated. You just can't. It's not going to work. And that also counts for yourself. So sometimes, right, I'm in a great relationship right now. My relationships have never been better. Like the last few years, every one of my relationships, they are as good as they have ever been, better. if I am feeling dysregulated, maybe I had too much coffee, maybe whatever it might be. Not to throw coffee under the bus, but it is the world's most consumed stimulant. Too little sleep, a bunch of bullshit going on the business side, somebody dropped a ball, whatever. And my partner wants to talk to me about something. If I'm not resourced, I'll just say, babe, I'm happy to talk about this. Let's do it at dinner.
Yeah.
I am really unresourced right now. I'm just not in a place to have a good conversation about this. I'm pretty pissed off about a few things. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, cool. So you also, on either side, need to be able to agree that that's an option.
Yeah, yeah. And the productivity with that. Sometimes I find like, I'll say to my wife, like, I've got a crazy week coming up. Mm-hmm. So just in advance, I'm just letting you know that this week I may not have the same space and stillness that I usually have or presence that I usually have to deal with something, because I can preempt how I'm going to feel.
Yeah.
Based on, and luckily, I have a partner that understands that, where I'm like, hey, I'm traveling this week. I'm only literally back home for like 3 hours. Mm-hmm. And then I'm back out. And it's like, just people being aware of what your week even looks like. Because we kind of walk around thinking our partner should know.
Well, what does this sound like?
Go on.
This sounds a lot like what we were talking about with how do you get someone to do the 2 weeks of meditation.
Yeah.
Setting expectations.
Yes.
You can have almost anything that you want in life if you manage expectations early.
Yes, exactly. And I think we assume that we know our schedule and that our partner should somehow know that we have a busy week this week, because we're coming home like huffing and puffing, or we're like, whatever it is, we're on our phone and we're like, oh God, I got to do, it's almost like we're trying to send all these cues without just spelling it out.
Yeah.
And just saying, hey, this is what my week looks like. And what does yours look like? And I try and do that a lot as well. It's fascinating. You said that we've been asking these questions about life and relationships and philosophy for like, thousands of years.
Forever.
Yeah, forever, but at least documented thousands of years at this point. And I feel like we are still somewhat asking some of the same questions. We were mentioning this earlier, and I know you actually have a website that allows people to ask these questions. I want to ask, what are the questions that are worth answering? Because I feel like we ask a lot of questions, and now with AI, we're asking more questions than ever before, which, by the way, I think is better than the answer generation that we grew up in, which was having the answer was smart, when we both know that asking the right question is smarter, which hopefully AI can help us get better at, because we all have to get better at asking questions. But what are the questions that are worth asking? Because I just feel like we're distracted by a set of questions that are not valuable.
The questions that I keep returning to, a lot of them I've borrowed from different sources, right? And I pointed out, the book right behind me, Letters from a Stoic, Seneca the Younger. That's the Penguin's classic edition. I've probably given away 100 copies of that book. Stoicism and Buddhism also, a lot of parallels, a lot of overlap. One would be, and this is actually borrowed from politics, someone who co-ran the war room for Bill Clinton put this in one of their books. I was on a road trip and I just grabbed it from a used bookstore. But the question stuck with me, which I think they got from Newt Gingrich. And it's like, they also are diametrically opposed to Newt politically, but they're like, he was ruthlessly efficient and effective at gaining control of the house and blah, blah, blah. And the question was, are you hunting antelope or field mice? And the story behind it is effectively like, if you're a lion, sure, you can keep yourself alive by hunting field mice and just eating like 100 a day. Or you could put in the energy and the focus to kill an antelope. And then that lasts you a day or 2 or 3 or whatever the number might be. And that's a metaphor for, in effect, coming back to what we're talking about. Like, are you doing a bunch of little micro projects, putting out fires, living on defense, juggling 10 different kind of cool projects instead of one big yes? If so, you're eating field mice. And it's like, that's no way for a lion to live. You can survive. That's not really living. Like, you need to hunt antelope. So to encapsulate all of that into one question is, are you hunting antelope or are you hunting field mice?
Do you ever hear people who just say, well, Tim, Jay, I don't want to be a lion. You guys like being lions. You want to be lions. You want to go chase antelope. Like, I don't want to be a lion. I just want to chase field mice. And what do you say to that? Because I always find it interesting. I feel like, again, mentally as a society, we go between, type A winners, this, versus, hey, I just want to have my lot in life and be happy.
I'm glad you're asking about this, because I think lion, okay, king of the jungle, etc. It implies almost that person using the metaphor might want to be an apex predator, king of the hill, whatever. That's an unfortunate side effect maybe of the picture that it paints. But the point is coming back to people falling apart when they have too much free time, right? This is a huge reason why most retirements fail and people have their health go off a cliff as soon as they retire in many cases. It's about knowing what your big thing is. Having a focus. And
that's just what we need as humans, plain and simple.
Psycho-emotionally, philosophically, humans are in the meaning-making business. You can't do that with triaging email. You cannot fool yourself into thinking that that is deeply meaningful. There's a part of you that will know it is not, and you will suffer accordingly. So that's how I would answer it.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you went there, because I think sometimes achievement mentality gets mixed with meaning making. In that people assume that, there are some people who just want to win, right? And that's not even to do with meaning. So you could go kill a big antelope and still not win because you didn't have meaning as a human.
Well, let me give. I'll give a. It's not even a counterexample. It's a compatible example. Let's just say it's a kindergarten teacher, and her North Star is like, I want to put as much time as possible into whatever makes the lives of these kids better.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's it.
Yeah.
So
that's
is managing the bake sale for the PTA adding to that? If those aren't the parents of your students, no, it's not.
No.
Therefore, it's a no.
Yeah.
Right? Is responding to email from friends or text from friends or asking you to go out to have drinks on a Wednesday night going to contribute to that? No, it's actually going to be counterproductive. No. Right? You can still have fun. I'm not saying don't have fun, but you can have a North Star. By the way, it doesn't have to be one thing forever. That can be very intimidating. Like, what is my purpose in life? What is my mission? It doesn't have to be this permanent thing. For me, it generally isn't. For me, it's like, I do have overarching things that guide my behavior as values, but I will just go completely immersive into fill in the blank, bioelectric medicine for 6 months. That's it. That's all I care about. How do I translate that into something usable in the real world? Or, for like supporting science related to psychedelic assisted therapies, and starting in 2015, like for a long time, that was it. And if people are like, well, I want you to do policy work or this, that related to it, I'm like, nope, it's not my power zone. Like, I am focused on science. Okay. And it's supporting the science, not capitalizing on it. So I had a rule like no investing in for-profit companies related to psychedelics. Not that makes someone, we need those. I was like, for me, that's a hard boundary. And okay, great. I feel like I've kind of done what I set out to do in that world. So I've largely stopped. I'm out. I pass the baton, let other people do it. So it doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't have to be some grand, giant thing. It could be teaching your kids.
It's focus. It's central.
It could be, for instance, for me now, if I considered adding, I'm a promiscuous activity adder. I love hobbies and I'm just all over the place. And now that really focused on my current relationship, that's going incredibly well, thankfully, right? Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
I borrowed this from a friend of mine, Kelly Starrett, who's an amazing performance coach and PT. But at one point he told me, because he also does tons of activities, he said he's only adding new activities that consume time, physical activities, that he can do with his wife or kids. That's it. No solo activities. And it's like, wow, what a great forcing function. Okay, cool. So with my partner, that's it. It's like, what can we do together? Okay. And you can change your mind 6 months later. I was like, okay, for now, that's it. Only adding new time-consuming hobbies if I can do them with her. That's
Absolutely.
it. That's
a great question.
That's it. That I think counts as a big yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So
that's a great question. I'm glad we unpacked it a little. Good.
Yes, that's one. Another one which I think about and have been thinking more and more about is, what if I could only fix this? Only fix this is even tricky with achiever types. What if I could only subtract instead of add? All right. So I'm sure this is true just about everywhere with humans, but you have some type of medical issue or you're trying to achieve X, you want to add things. What new software can I use? What new magic supplement can I take? Add, right? What books can I read? Well, what if you turned all that around? You're like, what if I could only achieve whatever the goal is or solve the problem by stopping reading certain categories of thing? Example given, getting rid of your social media on your phone, right? What if, this is not medical advice, just informational example, but I think intermittent fasting and fast mimicking diets are incredibly undervalued. Incredibly undervalued. So
cutting food out could be better than figuring out the right food.
This is a harder conversation to have with doctors because they're generally in the business of adding, because they only get 11 minutes on average per patient in the US, right? But for instance, I've seen, like, I could take tirzepatide or GLP-1 to try to, and there might be some reasons for it, neuroprotection and so on, but I could do that to try to get my metabolic health under control, but I could also do intermittent fasting, which is portable, proven, right? Humans have been going periods without food for a very, very long time, since before we were humans, so to speak, Homo sapiens. And the changes that you see with something like, and just to define what I'm talking about specifically, in my case, intermittent fasting would be 16 hours of fasting, 8-hour feeding window. And generally within that 8-hour feeding window, I'm having 2 big meals. That's it. And Mark Mattson is a scientist, Mattson, who's done a lot on this. But you want to have at least 16 hours so that you deplete your liver of glycogen, and then your body develops the machinery to turn on ketones more effectively, right? But you do that. I mean, my entire family has insulin sensitivity. We have a lot of wonky genetics for this stuff. And if you're getting regular testing, don't just do fasting glucose. Get your insulin measured and also do an oral glucose tolerance test. There's a lot more you should test, but at least hit those 3. And after 4 to 6 weeks of intermittent fasting, number one, all of my energy dips that I used to remedy with caffeine, gone. Completely gone. I just sustained energy. And when I woke up, I was awake. All right. One of the benefits of ketones. And my lab work, the oral glucose tolerance test, my doctors were like, A++.
Wow.
4 to 6 weeks is nothing. Is nothing. It's also, well, we can come to, if we want to talk about asceticism and just like the actual, I think, the values that are a little more esoteric, like fasting and stuff, abstaining, I think there's a lot to it. Q Seneca, he's got a lot on that. But what if you could only subtract? And you could do that also by looking at what you're spending your time on. Like do an 80-20 analysis, but identify the peak energy drainers in terms of activities, people, etc. Okay, what if you could only remove? You can't add more stuff.
Yeah. That's a great question.
Right? So how do you develop a system to block or say no to these things?
Totally.
Okay. Subtraction.
Great question.
As a flip, I would say on the default, very helpful. Similarly, you could ask whatever your common practice is or whatever rule you have in place, like what if I did the opposite for 48 hours or a week? What if I did the opposite, I think is very powerful.
Give me an example of something that you could flip that way.
My first job out of college was as a technical sales guy at a mass data storage company. So we're selling, at the time, I mean, it's laughable now, but petabytes, oh my God, these network storage systems to movie studios and National Geologic Survey and so on. All of the experienced sales guys got in the office whenever they got in the office. It's called 9. And then from 9 to 5, they're sending emails and making cold calls, right? Trying to reach CTOs and CEOs mostly. And I was having terrible results doing this. And most of them were having terrible results. But that's how they did it, right? So what do I know? I'm fresh out of college, so I was just copying them. And at some point, I'm like, this sucks. And I was one of the lowest paid people in the company. I'm like, I'm living in a very expensive part of the country. This is in the Bay Area. It's like I'm eating a Jack in the Box, for God's sake. Like through the drive-thru. Like I need to, if I'm going to make more money with commissions, I need to solve this. So I was like, all right, what if I did the opposite? What's the opposite? Don't make any calls between 9 to 5. Okay. And I started making calls between 7 and 9, and then from 5 to 7. And what I figured out very quickly is that part of the reason the results were so bad between 9 to 5 is CTOs and CEOs are busy. Of course they are. So they have gatekeepers. They have bulletproof vests in the form of people who say no.
Yeah.
And those people are usually gone before 9, and they're gone after 5.
Yeah.
And so I had multiple experiences of calling pretty large companies, and literally the person who answered the phone, like a receptionist, was the president or CEO of the
That's
company.
crazy.
Within the span of, I want to say 2 or 3 months, 2 very large competitors who had New York and LA offices, I outsold all of our largest competitor, which I think was publicly traded even then, outsold their entire offices combined.
Wow.
By doing what? Just by doing the opposite.
Yeah. Because if it's not working.
Yeah. If it's not working, try the opposite. Yeah. And if that doesn't work, okay, try something else.
Yeah.
I mean, with the podcast, for instance, like almost everybody, even still today, offers advertisers net 30 terms, net 60 terms. For people who don't know what that means that you run the ad, they don't pay for it for 30 to 60 days. And that can create a lot of complexity because you need someone to chase them down. There are going to be people who relate. There are lots of invoices and accounts payable, accounts receivable. There's all sorts of shenanigans that goes on. And I was like, all right, well, what's the opposite? Prepayment. That's it. Everybody prepays.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Okay. And another maxim, I guess, of mine is like, try the ideal thing first.
Yeah.
You can always do the standard later, or you can do the complicated thing later. But like, what would my dream be? My dream would be people pay in advance and was able to make it work. And I was like, wow, well, I'm glad we tried that first.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of examples like that.
These are great questions. And everyone can find them at...
Tim.blog is the website. There are literally thousands of pages of free stuff. If you go to tim.blog/17, however you want to spell it, the number or spell it out, and there's a PDF with like 17 of these questions.
Amazing.
And I use them all the time. I still use them all the time.
When you say all the time, do you have a regimen of how often you use them, or just whenever it feels right? Like
it's more when they feel right. Yeah. So I would say most frequently, it's like if I'm starting to grind my teeth or just wake up and I've got the like type of groan, it's like probably time to break out the toolkit.
Yeah.
Something's chafing.
Yes. Yeah.
Or on the flip side, for instance, I have one or two startups that I'm going to be getting involved with, and they're going to be very exciting, big commit projects.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, okay, these are going to be very fast moving, very competitive. Let me test a whole bunch of assumptions about these industries, because I'm advising typically to be helpful. And I will pull these questions out.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does everyone say you need to do?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything to support that? Or like science, is it just that somebody did that first and then everybody else copied and they're like, well, that's just how it works.
Yeah.
Which is usually the case.
Yeah.
Okay. What does doing the opposite look like? What might that look like? And 80% of it's going to get thrown out, but you don't need 100%.
Yeah.
You just need one or two little levers. So I use it for the good stuff too.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love having a core base of questions to come back to rather than just reminders or reflections or questions are just great, because you can usually tell straight away that you've been chasing too many field mice.
Exactly. And what I like about that is I've tried for myself over time to make these questions like tighter and tighter and tighter. Because when I'm running around, even if I'm not journaling, if I'm just sitting on a train ride or a plane and I'm thinking to myself, man, why am I so stressed out?
Yeah.
Right? I have other tools that I'll use. People might be familiar with some of them from the 4-Hour Workweek, and I didn't create them, like 80-20 analysis, etc.
Yeah. Calendar
reviews, past year reviews, all that stuff, fear setting. But you can just sit there, look out the window and ponder some of these questions. And then you're like, too many field mice.
Yeah.
Too many field mice. I'm always slightly hungry. Why? Right? Existentially, there's some malaise. Why? I'm eating field mice.
Yeah. It's when we were walking over to the studio and we were talking on the way, and I was saying, I feel like this is finally a year where I know what to say no to, what to say right. It's that I didn't ask it in that way, and I love that language for it, because it was that I spent years overcommitting, undercommitting, not know, all that kind of all the versions of it. Like you just said, like do the ideal, do the opposite, figure it out, and then you start going, okay, no, I've finally found a flow through asking these questions, and guess what? The flow will be disrupted again by something else. So those questions will become valuable again. And so it's not
set it and forget it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And that's where
it's like meditating or weightlifting or whatever. Like it's a practice. So you come back to it.
Yeah. I also find like if you just get good at if you can figure out the process of doing one thing well, that process usually helps you do multiple things well.
Oh, it's all the same.
Right?
As far as I can tell.
Don't you feel that way? Like,
For sure. It's easy to lose sight of that, right?
Yeah.
It's like I was just in New Mexico doing a short meditation retreat, which I find helpful. Maybe nothing like what you've done, but short little check-in with some teachers.
Yeah.
And one of the meditation teachers, Valerie at Mountain Cloud in Santa Fe, New Mexico, used to be a very high level, like world-class flute player.
Yeah.
She and I were comparing notes on, in her case, flute. And then I used to compete in archery, and we were comparing notes. And I realized, holy shit, I was having some challenges with meditation. I was having a really hard time with this retreat. I was just like really frustrated a lot of the time. And I thought to myself, oh, wow. Her discussing flute made me think of archery. And there are all of these things from archery that I can just copy and paste directly into meditation.
Yes.
And then literally right after that, the next 3 sits, totally different world. And I was like, wow, how funny it is that even at this point, after making a career of drawing parallels between fields, I had sat there and I'm like, I need to get better at meditating, and hadn't even looked in other areas of my life to copy and paste.
Literally, yeah.
I love that. Dummy. God, come on, Ferris.
No, I feel like that all the time. I was this recently I mean, not that I'm not even sure if I'm going to do it for real, but it was like, I got sent an audition for an acting gig. And it was interesting. The role was interesting. And I was like, oh, this is a bit of flattering. This is a bit of fun. Like, let's see. And then like all the like fear came in around like, oh my God, what if I do it and I fail? And like, what if I send an audition tape and I look like a fool? And what if someone like sees this and then thinks, well, my other stuff isn't, whatever, all the stuff that, and I was like, wait a minute, like, why am I? And I was like, oh, of course I'm scared because I haven't got a coach and I haven't done any classes to see if I even enjoy it or like it. And I haven't even done the scales version of like, making different faces and then I got a coach and it was like within hours, I was like, oh, I could do this. I could give it a go if I wanted to. Like I could give an audition, not saying I could get the role. I could do the audition with a little bit of confidence. Because now I had a system and I had tools, and the coach would talk about how like, he was like, if you're doing theater, you got to be able to like be big. And he goes, so I always try and get everyone to be a 10. So you start at a 10 and then for TV, you roll that emotion back down.
I'm so introverted. This is like my nightmare.
Yeah,
I remember doing a little bit of TV way back in the day and they're like, okay, just more energy. And they kept telling me more energy. And I'm just like, bro, maybe this isn't for me.
But for me, it was the technique. It was like really helpful to go, he's like acted as a 10. And then for TV, you'd roll it back into a 2.
Helpful,
And I was like, what a cool like technique. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I was actually going to ask you, have you read the book, The Zen of Archery?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I thought so. I was thinking, I've got some favorite stories from that book. It's like,
a great book. I'll throw out another one. I was talking about music and it ties into a lot of what we're talking about. One of my favorite short books, I can't remember who recommended this to me. Might have been Seth Godin. It's called The Art of Possibility by, I want to say Benjamin Zander. I'm blanking on his wife's name, which is embarrassing, but Zander, Z-A-N-D-E-R. And it's a conductor, very high level, like orchestral conductor. And it is a wonderful book. It ties into everything that we're talking about. So for folks who want, I think it's like 150 pages or something. Really, really exceptional book.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool. I love it. Tim, you've been so fun to talk to as always. This is like...
Yeah, my pleasure, man.
You're such a fascinating individual, truly. And I'm so grateful that you've always been the human guinea pig because it's fun being in your mind and talking to you just about things you're exploring because I think it brings back a zest for life naturally. It's contagious. It creates this curiosity in everyone. And at the same time, I think we've talked about so many practical things that people can actually apply in their lives. I wanted to end with 2 segments. One of them is a bunch of questions that we just got from our audience that we love that I wanted to throw at you.
And you want me to keep my answers short or what do you want?
No, these ones you can flow a bit.
Just riff.
You can riff a bit. These are questions, kind of what you were saying, questions that you ask repeatedly. There are certain questions that we found our audience loves knowing the answer to from different people. And so we throw them out to you. So this one is, what makes a good friend?
What makes a good friend? That is a damn good question. I would say it's someone who says what they means what they say, who's reliable, someone you can share your joys and sorrows with over time. I mean, that's about it. I would say that over time, this applies across the board. Intelligence, in quotation marks, because what does that even mean, has become less and less important to me. Like trustworthiness and reliability come way before that now.
Yeah.
Not to say my friends are stupid. Like my friends tend to be, they tend to be pretty smart, but I'm not sorting first by that.
Yeah. I love everyone who's made it now is wondering, wait a minute. No, I love it. That makes sense. What's the difference between being efficient and cutting corners?
I mean, what comes to mind for me is cutting corners implies aiming for short-term gain, but long-term side effects or consequences, right? Cutting corners implies you're not doing something you should do. And I would expand that further just to say that I do not focus on efficiency as much as people think. Efficiency, and I'm borrowing from Peter Drucker here, also The Effective Executive. Everybody should read that. Holy cow, what a great book. But Peter Drucker, paraphrasing, effectiveness is doing the right things, and then efficiency is doing things right. The way I would reframe that is like what you do, like picking your big yes, matters a lot more than how you get there. It's kind of like if you're starting in Kansas and you're intending to go to California, but your car pointed towards New York, it's like you could be Mario Andretti.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. You're going the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So the what matters a lot more.
Yeah. What advice has made you the most money?
These are good questions. I like these.
Yeah.
It's hard to attribute to one person. I wish I could, but it's from a couple of different folks. Well, I'll actually give a nod to some folks who have informed the thinking. Aiming to be a category of one. So don't aim to be the best, although I think that's fine once you do what I'm about to describe. Aim to be the only. Right? We were chatting a bit before we started recording about how the podcast landscape has changed, and it would be very hard to start my show now.
Absolutely.
Right? You would need to be more probably narrowly focused and differentiated in a bunch of different ways. So for that, there's a great essay, if you can find it online, at KK.org, Kevin Kelly, wrote 1,000 True Fans. I think it was true 10 years ago, and it is going to become ultra true as AI starts to gobble everything. 1,000 True Fans, you got to read it. The Law of Category is a chapter from the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. I think I excerpted it in Tools of Titans or Tribe of Mentors because that chapter had a huge impact. Blue Ocean Strategy also. Those are all related.
Yeah.
So the advice to basically aim to be the only, definitely one. Another one would be, and this relates to, I guess, the angel investing and so on, is to, and Mark Andreessen, very famous entrepreneur and technologist and investor, but also the late Scott Adams, controversial guy, but certainly was very good at what he did with Dilbert, had similar echoes of this, basically talking about two things. The first is that trying to become top 1%, this relates to the first point, like Michael Jordan in basketball, very hard. Yo-Yo Ma, very hard. Almost everybody's going to get cut. But if you can be top, say, 25% in two fields that are rarely combined, right? Software development, although AI is going to kill that, but software and let's just say debate or a law degree. Oh, that's interesting. So I tend to think about combining top 25% of fields that are rarely combined. And then the last one would be choosing projects based on acquiring skills and either building or deepening relationships that transcend that project. Because a lot of my projects fail by any external metric. But if I'm building friendships with very interesting people who are smart and I'm developing skills that are kind of transferable, over time, you just win. It's very hard not to win.
That's great advice. That's huge. There's so much in there. Huge advice. Thank you. This one. What's something that the top 1% obsess over that most people never even think about?
I mean, this is going to sound self-serving because my 850-page book is about this. Saying no. The absolute sacredness of focus. They're all, I mean, some people are better at this than others, but in their own way, they are very, very militant about that. In a way that's very different from, say, the top 40%.
Yeah.
Right? Like the top 1 to 5%. Even if they don't realize it, have set up systems, or they have employees, or they have, no available email address, or whatever, or unusual ways to calendar. Even if they don't realize it, they're very, very good at firewalling their attention.
What's the allure of yes? Like, what is the allure? Is it people pleasing? Is it distraction? Is it busyness? Like, what have you found to be the allure?
I think those are all good answers, right? So I think there's FOMO, because everything in modern marketing is intended to foster fear of missing out. But if you only have one good idea or one good chance, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You need to develop, and you only do this through experimentation and time on the field, the confidence in your ability to generate or capitalize on opportunities, right? This is incredibly important. And I mentioned angel investing a bit for people who don't know. That just means investing, in my case, in companies very, very early, right? So when it's 2 people and an idea on a napkin, investing in those people. If you don't have the ability to say no, you run out of money. You're dead. Game over. That's the end of your angel investing, right? Because most of them are going to go to zero. And I would say that seems like something that doesn't apply everywhere else. But guess what? You can make more money later. As far as we know, you can't create more time later. Back to Seneca on the shortness of life. And people are really burning time in ways they will realize are pretty terrifying. But FOMO is a piece of it. People pleasing is another, which generally is short-term nice, long-term mean. You always end up paying the piper with that one. It's like, you're going to have an uncomfortable conversation. Do you want to have 2 years of pain before that, or do you want to just do that now? Right? Then I would say field mice. Right? If you don't have an antelope and someone else is like, hey, come help me with my antelope. Hey, why don't you come to my party about my antelope? You're like, antelope, sexy. All right, sure, I'll say yes to your party. Sure, I'll come to your, bat mitzvah magic show. Sure, I'll do this. Sure, I'll do that. And
all of a sudden,
before you know it, your calendar's full of field mice. Those are some of the pieces. You can spend quite a lot of time on that, diagnosing it, but those are a few of the big ones.
Absolutely, great answers. All right, what's the emotional cost of constantly trying to improve yourself?
The emotional cost of constantly trying to improve yourself in a vacuum, without the acceptance piece, is that you always think you're broken. And that is too high a cost for anyone to pay. It's an expanded discussion in the self-help trap blog post that I wrote. by the way, I think it's probably now, within 24 hours, I knew it was going to be my most popular blog post of the last 10 years, probably.
Wow.
It's wild. I didn't know if it would resonate, but holy shit. So the cost to constantly improve yourself, almost by definition, you have to constantly be looking for ways to fix yourself, which means you're looking for ways you're broken. And that means you're always in the red, right? There's always one more problem. And so the feeling of peace eludes you by one more workshop, one more book, one more retreat, one more psychedelic, whatever it is. You're always going to be one step behind. If that's the only lens through which you're looking at things, the achievement, self-improvement side.
Yeah.
If you have the acceptance side, then you can start to balance out the wobble board.
Yeah.
So I would say that's what comes to mind.
Yeah. It's almost like the old idea of climbing the mountain and pausing to look at the view and then climb some more and looking at the view. And, it's like you'd never go on a hike and not stop and look at the view. Yeah. It's a ridiculous idea. You'd never just go, I'm only going to look at the view when I get to the top. And then there is no top because you just keep discovering a new top. And it's like, no, we got to a flat piece of land and then I stopped and we had a little, sandwiches, had some lunch and looked at the view and had a bit of peace and appreciate how far we'd come.
And furthermore, I'll just add to this, the hyper-individualism of most self-help, I think is very problematic. And I want to keep this not prevent it from becoming a TED Talk, but Pema Chodron has a really great poem, who Henry Schuckman introduced me to, actually. And I won't be able to recite it because it's pretty long, but it's from When Things Fall Apart.
Great book.
And talks about ascending the mountaintop, just as you were describing. The problem with that is that you leave your alcoholic sister, your schizophrenic friend behind. And then when you get to the top, you realize, it just descends. And actually the mountain descends back into the messiness of human relationships. So that's...
Wow.
If you want to be on the playing field...
Yeah, that's powerful.
I think it really... Another question, like a question that I'm asking myself right now, which is not one of those 17, is what if almost everything you did or project you added had to improve your relational life somehow? That's the criteria.
Or because that's your antelope right now as well.
Yeah. Well, it also feeds and reinforces and strengthens everything else. Or what if, just to make it simple, you put together your to-do list. What if for the next week, 2 weeks, the first thing you had to do was one that was going to improve your relationships some way? By the way, it doesn't need to be a big thing.
Yeah.
Sure, it could be having that long overdue hard conversation with your parents, but that's a heavy lift. It could also be saying hi to your significant other in the morning and kissing him or her on the cheek before you jump on your phone, right? Yeah. It doesn't have to be a big thing.
Totally, yeah. All right, last one of these. If someone feels behind in life, what would you tell them?
I'd say a few things. I'd say, number one, it's never too late. I've seen so many examples of people doing amazing stuff, starting in their 50s, 60s, 70s. Jim Collins, actually, his new book, I don't know if it's out yet, but What to Make of a Life, profiles something like 30 people. And these are incredible examples of success, and a lot of them did their most important work in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. So it's not too late, number one. And number two, I'd recommend, I'm giving so many book recommendations.
It's great.
People are just like, oh God, more
We'll make a list from this podcast. Yeah.
So 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
I think it's a phenomenal book. And there's a chapter in that book specifically, you can find it online, called Cosmic Insignificance Therapy. And people should check this out. And this is not, some people are like, oh, Tim's become so nihilistic. I'm like, no. This isn't nihilism. But you can make your problems seem less life or death by zooming out. And Oliver does this very well.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine, Ed Cook, he was a world-class memory competitor for a long time. He trained, I think it was Jonah Lehrer, a writer, to become national memory champion in the US in a book called Moonwalking with Einstein. I mean, the guy's a stud.
Yeah,
and Ed Cook will do the same thing, even though I don't even think he knows who Oliver Burkeman is, which is he'll imagine zooming out to above his house. If he's really stressed out, zoom above his house, then zoom out to above the city, then the country, then out to seeing the planet, then zoom out even further, looking at the solar system. And there's something to it that almost always takes some of the pressure out of the tires. And it's like, okay, at the end of the day, and I don't think this is bad news, but we are a bunch of monkeys on a spinning rock in the middle of the cosmos, right? It's just so maybe the fact that somebody sent a really pissy email to you, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Okay. And I need that for myself too. I'm not like wagging a finger at people. I'm like, look, I can get wound up about that. I'm really good in crisis and with giant like projects and problems. It's the dumbest shit in the world. Like somebody cuts me off at the buffet line in like an airplane lounge or something. And I'm just like, really? That's what you're going to get wound up about? For like 2 days?
Totally.
Like for the next 8-hour flight, you're going to think about that guy? What's wrong with you? So trust me, it's like I'm drinking the medicine too.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I can relate to both. And it's both. It's like there's times in life where thinking what you do matters is everything.
Yeah.
And then there's times in life that embracing your own insignificance is the only way to function.
Yeah, there's a great Bertrand Russell quote. It's along the lines of, the sure sign of impending nervous breakdown is taking one's work incredibly seriously. Something like that. I'm butchering it, but it's very close.
Yeah, I like that.
And the dose makes the poison, right? Like you have to believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
And at the same time, kind of recognize like we're all in the Mova show here.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. As the Buddha would say, you have to hold the bird in your hand, but not too tightly. It's like you hold it too tightly, you suffocate it. But if you don't hold it at all, then you can't help it. And so it's hard. It's hard. And you're always going to go in between. Yeah, you got to crush a few birds first and let a few go to figure it out. Exactly, yeah, sadly. Tim, we end every episode with a final 5. These have to be answered in 1 sentence maximum. So these are short. So Tim, these are your final 5. Question number 1, what is the best advice you've ever heard or received? Don't believe everything you think. Question number 2, what is the worst advice you've ever heard or received? You need money to make money. Question number 3, what did you used to value that you don't value anymore? Achievement without acceptance. What did you never value before, but that you do deeply value now? Emotional experience. Really? Yeah, I mean, I thought emotions were just limbic system liabilities for a long time. What changed your mind on that? Well, a few things. I mean, I realized you just can't get around it. Like, who are we kidding, right? Like, no, but I think it's a really good conversation. That's one, right? You just can't get around it. So coming back to the Serenity Prayer, it's like, yeah, good luck with that, Ferris. Yeah. And even if you could become Spock, you're going to interact with people who are not Spock. So we're right back at square one. Yeah. And that's one. And secondly, there's quite a long story behind this that I won't get into, but you can if you want. Yeah, I would just say to experience the full richness of being human, you have to embrace being human. And a very large part of that is emotional. Yeah, well said. 5th and final question we ask this to every guest who's ever been on the show. If you could create one law that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be? I'd say smile and say hi first. Yeah. And I'm borrowing that from Gabby Reese, amazing woman who I interviewed alongside Laird Hamilton a long time ago. But yeah, go first was hers. Yeah, like smile and say hi first. It changes everything. Yeah. It actually does. Mm-hmm. It actually changes everything. If you walked into a room and brought the energy you hope to get out of it, it's like... Yeah. There's another... This isn't as poetic, but there's another one that... Somebody told me at one point, I'm like, oh God, that's good. They said, if you walk out one day and you be an asshole, that person's an asshole. If you walk outside and everyone's an asshole, you're the asshole. You know? It's true. It's true. I know plenty of both. Like, go get some ketones from macadamia nuts or a cold shower. Dude, I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope everyone checks out tim.blog/17 for the 17 questions. And people can actually read your new book, kind of, to get... You want to talk about that? Yeah, sure. Yeah, people can get... If they go to tim.blog, that is a URL, kind of confusing, but just type tim.blog in. You can get, I want to say 175 to 200 pages of my various books to read. Plenty of tons of actionable stuff. It's not just buttering you up for the book. Like, you don't ever have to buy the books. I mean, there's more in the books, obviously, but there's... if you go to tim.blog, you'll find 175 plus pages. And then for the No book, which is kind of the code name for the book about saying no, definitely my funniest book so far, because I did it with Neil Strauss, who acted as my student. And he was so comically bad at saying no. There's a lot of funny exchanges, real text messages and experiments and stuff. Cool. You can find, I want to say 50, 75 pages of that at tim.blog/nobook. And so all that stuff is free. People can check it out. Well, thank you. Well, everyone who's been listening and watching, make sure you tag me and Tim on Instagram, X, TikTok, wherever you're viewing the show or seeing clips. I want to know what resonated with you, what you're practicing with, what you're trying, what you're exploring. I love seeing how what we discuss here turns into reality. So let us know what you're taking action on. And Tim, thank you so much. I hope you'll come back on the show and we won't take 9 years again. You're very good at what you do, man. It's fun to watch and it's fun to experience also. It's easy with someone like you. This is like a dream. This is like my favorite kind of episode. The best. Thank you.